Commentary comes from Mark Lawrenson and Guy Mowbray.
Olsen once again is a really big threat from this sort of position. Greening in, Olsen jumping, Harper got there, blocked on the line, and Shelton Martis has stabbed the ball home. Newcastle undone by a set piece. Olsen and Martis reacted quickly.
Yeah, it's the first ball really that causes the goal from West Brom's point of view. It was very difficult for Newcastle to do, and I think Harper's actually been kicked by his own player, but Martis was the one who was more determined than anyone.
Harper's back to his feet. Away unchallenged by Chris Wood. Corrin. Jose Enrique. Confronted by Malumbu and then Greening. Smith is able to dig it out to Amiobi. Gutierrez wants him wide. Amiobi found Nolan in a better position. Now Damien Duff! Marvellous finish! First big moment for Newcastle United to smile about in the new season.
I think it's Kevin Nolan who eventually gets a ball guy, and he gets his head up in a great position, and he just picks Duff out. Just way to pass is brilliant.
Greening's corner, Krul, flacked at it a little. Did he make the save? I think he did.
I think he made the second save, no doubt about it. He flacked at the first one, and I think he's got the smallest of fingertips on this.
Greening stands over the ball. Greening will swing it over. Jonas Olsen is there! And the flag's gone off, has it? No, Mike Dean has seen some pushing. Roberto Di Matteo saw it early enough not to celebrate. West Bromwich Albion are denied a winner.
Offside.
Offside. I think Mike didn't indicate pushing at first, but the flag was up for offside.
As that ball went in the net at the very end there, in the very final second of added time, you might have been forgiven for feeling that it had kicked you when you were down, so to speak.
Yeah, very much so. I think I didn't see the flag go up instantly, and I've turned away thinking it was a goal, and then I was reminded by somebody that it wasn't, and I haven't had an opportunity to see it again. But yeah, certainly we're thankful. But I think we got what we deserved today, you know, and to come here, as I say, a very good side, and a side that I'm sure will do very well in this division. And to get a draw on opening day, I think is a credit to this group of lads.
Well, it was a game of few chances. Mark Yates might have given Borough an early lead, but for the fingertips of Mark Bunn. Danny Coyne in the Middlesbrough goal returned the favour with a good save from Stephen Quinn. Borough's Adam Johnson had a strong penalty appeal rejected when he got in behind Kyle Walker. What do you think here, Steve? Certainly a bit of foot and ball in that.
Yeah, I would probably have erred on the side of caution.
After that, and both managers happy enough to start the season with a point and a clean sheet.
The return of the football season sees the return of the sunshine. Not sure what we've missed the most over the summer, but the fans here keen to make the most of both this afternoon. A near 33,000 sellout at Pride Park. How they love their football in Derby. Forward by Savage. Awkward this for Zakwani. No real challenge from anybody in white. Conley looking to release Croft, who's managed to shake off Williams initially. Wins Derby their first corner. Nigel Clough was chasing the signature of Lee Croft ever since last season came to an end. Let's see what he can conjure with this first corner. Nothing initially, but hooked backwards by Buxton, and Green provides Teal. Derby with plenty of bodies in that Peterborough penalty area. Green will float it across. Up goes Buxton, and Addison's there! And Derby County take the lead. Miles Addison, the goal scorer, inside the opening 5 minutes of the game. Well, he's taken the knock in knocking this home. and the jubilation around the ground is momentarily silenced. Good ball in here from Green, and headed back across there by Buxton to the other central defender, Miles Addison, and Addison gets Derby off and running early on the opening day, and Peterborough caught cold in the August heat. Having had treatment, Miles Addison off the pitch momentarily. Addison needs to keep a careful watch. The header down as far as McLean. Here now is Tommy Rowe, and the equaliser. The flag is up though. George Boyd's joy is cut short. For a split second there, Peterborough thought they'd level. Nice approach by Tommy Rowe, and you can see as the ball just whipped in there, George Boyd fractionally ahead of Buxton. Ferguson saw his team win 12 times on their travels last season. They had a very similar record away from home as they did at London Road. Here's Teal for Derby. Amazing dribble and a teasing cross. And Davis didn't gamble, had he done, Teal might have just helped Derby go two in front. Fantastic run this by the Scotsman. Peterborough's confidence notably grew as that first half wore on. They've been penned back inside their own half for the opening 3 or 4 minutes of this second half. And they'll know they need to keep a close eye on Commons. What a lovely ball through for Teal. Far post is Davis, just wants it squared. Ball hasn't got the legs, and it's easy for Zakwani to clear. Really should have done better there, Derby. Fabulous play by Commons, and Teal failed to capitalise. Peterborough very much still in this game. Paul Coots thought about the shot and hits it. Plenty of power behind that one for Paul Coots. Had that one gone in, it would have been his first ever goal for Peterborough, and it would have been an absolute belter. Time for Zakwani. Bywater's come a long way, and he's not got there, and it's a penalty. Bywater tumbling into Sean Batt. No need to go that far, surely. Connie Looks in charge of that, and Bywater slides in against Batt, who was really not threatening the goal, was he? And referee Paul Taylor points to the spot. Bywater, the villain of the piece, can he turn things round completely and be the hero by saving this spot kick? George Boyd to take it. Boyd scores. Peterborough level. Their second half pressure merits the equaliser with 8 minutes left of the 90. Sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. And George Boyd, who helped himself to 10 last season, gets Peterborough goals tally up and running this. Is there to be a winner? Appeals for handball against Williams. He points to his head and the referee agrees. Corner given. Just lost his balance as Teal skipped beyond him. Derby's 10th corner. Commons with it. Lewis came and it's off the line and then in, and it's Gary Teal with it. No wonder he's screaming in celebration. Only his third goal in 4 years, a most unlikely goal scorer. Good ball in by Commons. Lewis unable to punch it away, off the bar, off Davis, and Teal pokes it home from little more than 3 yards. And no sooner at Peterborough level than they're back behind again. Zakwani taking an unnecessary risk, and it's Commons looking to punish. Great stop by Lewis. How important might that prove to be in the final shake-up? Oh, almost an own goal. was at first heroic in his save from Chris Commons after Zakwani's needless hesitation. Left leg doing the trick there, but when it cannoned back off Williams, it almost embarrassed Lewis with his control. The managers have barely changed their positions all game. Hooked back across by Williams, this time Connolly to clear. There goes the final whistle. Cloughy gets the better of Fergie on opening day in the Championship. Derby off to a winning start after such awful seasons in the recent past. Disappointment for the Championship new boys. On opening day at Pride Park, it's Derby 2, Peterborough 1. Well, Nigel, it's the first time Derby have won on the opening day for 7 years. What a ding-dong battle that was.
It was incredible. I think the only mystery is how it finished only 2-1. It was a 4-4-5-4 sort of job out there today. Not just the amount of chances created, but the situations which weren't converted into chances.
I've got to look at the performance. It's not, in my mind, doesn't come far away from the result. Obviously, the result is the most important thing. But if we hadn't got a performance that I know we're capable of in any part of the game, it would have worried me more. But if we play like that, I'm sure we'll win more games than we lose.
Thanks for the lift, lads. No great upheaval for Cardiff fans in terms of finding their new ground. It's only 100 yards from the last one. Far less familiar surroundings, though, when you step inside. Almost a third of England's top 4 division clubs have now moved to new ground since, in fact, today's visitors Scunthorpe started the trend in 1988. This place cost £50 million. It's got a current capacity of 27,000 and it's taken just 2 years to build.
People talk about stadiums, they talk about how much they cost to build, but we've delivered this on time, on budget, and here we are with a stadium which, frankly, this is life-saving for the football club. Without this stadium, our debts would have completely consumed the football club. It wouldn't have been here.
Will you let us have a little glimpse of your inner sanctum?
Of course, with
Come
pleasure.
on, let's go through. Oh, everybody's standing to attention. I feel as though I'm feeling under
I think that's
pressure
for
now.
you, not for me. I mean, this is the chairman's suite. I never sit down before a match. I'm too excited, but too nervous.
I'm worried about you, Peter. You don't have anything to eat at all.
Nothing beforehand, I just can't.
Too nervous?
Yeah, very much so.
I'm going to pop down and try and see the manager. Is he normally okay on match day, or does he get quite grumpy?
No, he's fine. He's just the opposite of me, actually. He's very calm and cool before the match. It's during the match and after the match that Dave gets excited.
We'll pop and see him, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dave, are you pinching yourself? It's finally come together. It's here. You're going to play the first league game in this magnificent place.
No, I'm delighted to be here. I'm not pinching myself. I think it's more a case of we just want to get the business rolling now. We've tried and make it as much of our home as we possibly can, but we need to take some more pictures, get some more pictures up on the walls, just generally make it ours.
There he is!
You're right, look at you before.
Now then.
I thought you gone from radio to TV.
Radio, TV.
Oh, the Facebook TV and radio. Can't be bad. Look here, you've got a nice shirt on there as well.
Well, I've had to make just that little bit of effort. Now, listen, are you here to be party pooper on this big day for Cardiff?
We've come here to win a game of football. Simple as. Magnificent stadium, isn't it? Look at it, it's going to be bouncing.
I hope the supporters really enjoy it, because the players at this moment in time are
awesome. Absolutely awesome. I never thought I'd see the day.
It's all right from the outside, so see what it's like with the atmosphere inside after, isn't it?
So this is the acid test for Cardiff City. They've got their acts together off the field, and they do the same on it.
First up at the new Cardiff City Stadium then were League One playoff winners Scunthorpe, a team looking to cause a surprise on their return to the Championship. But the Bluebirds took the early lead. Michael Chopper didn't know too much about it as he deflected a shot from Peter Whittingham. Lee McCormack's hinted he fancies a Premier League move, and on this form there were plenty of willing takers as he excelled in an unfamiliar left midfield position. He began the move, ended by Jay Bothroyd giving the home side a 2-goal lead from close range. Cardiff's end-of-season run denied them a place in the playoffs by just 1 goal, but those thoughts soon forgotten in their new home, record-signing Chopra grabbing his second after being set up by Bothroyd's back heel. Cardiff's biggest crowd since 1971 were in full voice, and they had even more to cheer when Martin Wolford fouled Ian Morris for a late Cardiff penalty. Peter Whittingham scored to make it 4-0. It sent most of the 22,000 crowd home happy and gave Dave Jones a winning start.
We've still got a lot of work ahead of us. We're not kidding ourselves because of the result today. because I thought Scunthorpe played some really good football to begin with, and once we'd knocked the stuffing out of them, it was always going to be probably damage limitations for them.
The other promoted team are Leicester, who came up as champions of League One. Manager Nigel Pearson wants a playoff place this season, but Swansea took the lead early on. Former centre-half Pearson won't like the defending here. Ashley Williams unmarked to convert Mark Gower's corner. Leicester lost just one match at home last season, and they were given the chance to get back on terms when goalscorer Williams brought down Swiss fullback Bruno Berner. Matt Fryatt's half-time substitution meant strike partner Steve Howard took on the responsibility. He was denied by Dutch goalkeeper Doris de Vries. Leicester did draw level on 68 minutes. Pearson made 2 attacking changes at half-time, both with a score, and Stake claims to start the Foxes' next game. First loan signing Martin Waghorn scoring via Gary Monk's wicked deflection. And just 3 minutes later, Leicester had the lead. French winger Danny Ungessen signed from Lincoln with the Foxes' second after good work from Howard. Ungessen nearly crowned a great debut with a second goal, the crossbar feeling the full force of his header here. Even so, the Foxes held on to record a first home win over the Swans for 59 years. Ian Holloway received a warm reception on his return to QPR, although his former club dominated early proceedings. Heide Helgesen scored a brace the last time these two sides met, the woodwork stopping him opening the scoring. Blackpool's only previous win at Loftus Road came all the way back in 1972. It was the Seasiders here who opened the scoring against the run of play. Ben Burgess opening his account after fine work by Gary Taylor-Fletcher. Goals were QPR's problem last season. It was looking like a familiar story for Ars fans as Angelo Balanta hit the side netting just before half-time. Paul Rahubka was having a man-of-the-match performance in the Blackpool goal. After pulling off a stunning save to deny Fitzhall, he was relieved to see the post come to the rescue as Balanta failed to ease any opening day nerves. Rowan Vine scored only 1 goal last season in an injury-hit campaign. The striker won't get many better chances than this after being set up by Patrick Aguiman. It was an unlikely source that finally got the goal for QPR 5 minutes from time. Peter Ramage's cross inadvertently finding the net, the defender's first goal in more than 100 career appearances, saving his manager Jim Magilton's blushes and denying Holloway a fairy tale return.
Max, I'm so pleased to sign for us, mate.
Cheers, pal.
Great tough, pal.
Sheffield Wednesday had reasonably positive ahead of the new season. Marcus Tudgate signed a new contract despite interest from Premier League Burnley. The Owls faced Barnsley in a South Yorkshire derby and had a great chance to take the lead early on. Luke Steele saving well from James O'Connor. The Tykes did the double over Wednesday in the league last season, but it took the home team just 9 minutes to score the first goal this time. Jamaican Jermaine Johnson with the goal for the Owls. A crowd of 30,000 made for a great atmosphere at Hillsborough. John Macken scored 9 goals for the Tykes last season. Wednesday goalkeeper Lee Grant denying him here. Macken and Grant crossed swords again soon after. The goalkeeper once again coming out on top. Wednesday's second goal came via a long throw. Tudgate's flick on to Michael Gray. His first Wednesday goal in the week he turned 35. And he was okay to continue. Jacob Butterfield made just one previous start for Barnsley before today, but the teenage defender, given the nod by Simon Davey, repaid his manager's faith with a first senior goal. John Macken missed a host of half chances for Barnsley, but all that was forgiven with just a quarter of an hour left to play. A great comeback for Barnsley in front of 5,500 travelling fans. 2-2 the final score. Preston have reached the playoffs in 3 of the past 5 years and began this campaign at home to Bristol City. And the Football League founder member almost claimed an early goal, but John Parkin's shot was blocked by Lewis Carey. The home team pressed on in the first half. Defender Yul Mawene somehow steering his shot over the top as the game stayed goalless going into half-time. But the second half would be a cracker. Bristol City failed to win any of their last 8 matches last season, but they were given the perfect chance to take the lead when Mawene was penalised for a challenge on Danny Haynes. Penalty. Paul Hartley signed for the Robins from Celtic during the summer. It was a debut to remember, his first goal in English football. David Clarkson also made the move south over the summer, signing from Motherwell, and the Scotland striker made his mark on the championship inside the hour. Danny Haynes with a fine pass, 2-0 now. Preston hadn't lost an opening game for 5 years, and they gave themselves a chance to keep the record going. John Parkin pulling a goal back in some style. City held their lead until deep into stoppage time. The ball appeared to strike Lewis Carey's hand, and referee Michael Oliver pointed to the spot. Callum Davidson stepped up for North End. He kept his cool to secure a dramatic late draw for his team. 3 Scotsmen on the score sheet at Deepdale, 2-2 the full-time score. Neil Warnock faced one of his many former clubs, Plymouth, at Selhurst Park. One of his new signings, Stern John, was the first to go close from Alassane Ndiaye's cross. The much-travelled John heading just wide. His debut truncated with a suspected broken arm later on. It's rare for Warnock's sides to leak goals from set plays. Hungarian Christian Timar scoring for Argyle with a season just 5 minutes old. Only Timar's 4th goal for the club, his first for 2 seasons, the perfect start. Plymouth could have doubled their lead when Jamie Mackey found space on the left-hand side. Palace keeper Julian Speroni with a save, showing why he's been the Eagles' player of the season for the last 2 years in a row. The goalkeeper kept the Devonians at bay with some sharp reflexes. Rory Fallon denied here. And those saves proved a platform for a Palace leveller. Victor Moses with the deep cross for Alan Lee's head, and there are few finer headers than Lee at this level, all square at Selhurst Park. A strong finish ensured Doncaster's first season in the Championship ended with safety long assured. A trip to Malky Mackay's Watford began the new campaign. The Hornets warmed up with a win against Italian Serie A team Parma a week ago, and Danny Graham put them ahead with a goal on his Hornets debut. But Donny came south in determined mood. Brian Stock sent in the cross. And how's that for a header from James Hayter? 2 ex-Bournemouth players in neat combination. Tommy Smith was Watford's top scorer last season. This attempted cross nearly becoming a whole lot more. Goalkeeper Neil Sullivan, a relieved man. There was one last chance for Rovers to take all 3 points, but Dean Shields' effort somehow kept out by goalkeeper Scott Loach as the game finished all square at Vicarage Road. Reading and Nottingham Forest met on the first day of last season. That day there were no goals as both teams adjusted to life in a new division. Chances again few and far between this year at the Medeski Stadium. New signing David McGoldrick had the best effort of the first half for Forest. New Reading boss Brendan Rodgers fielded a young team including Scott Davis, who had scored against Chelsea in a friendly last week, but the Irishman failed to beat Forest goalkeeper Lee Camp. Forest Luke Chambers had already seen yellow and he was involved in an off-the-ball incident with Reading sub Shane Long. Referee Phil Crossley was left distinctly nonplussed. And a second yellow made red. Reading and Forest start this season as they did last with a goalless draw.
Chris Perry had struck the post for the Saints in the first half. before Matt Patterson clipped the ball home from close range to give his side the lead. Wayne Thomas's trip on Jason Price earned Millwall a penalty. On second look, I'm not entirely sure by this one. Now the boys here also agree, but Alan Dunn's low spot kick was saved while Price's follow-up was also blocked. Well done the keeper, but Najim Abdu's looping header rescued a point for Millwall as Southampton moved to -9. Still a long way to go. Right, here's the best of the rest from Coca-Cola League One.
This was Charlton's first game at this level in almost 3 decades, and they'd never met Wickham in the league. Veteran defender Christian Daly opened the scoring on his debut for Charlton, and within a couple of minutes it was 2-0. The Addicts' top scorer last season, Nicky Bailey, doubling the home side's lead. Charlton seemingly cruising. But the visitors, 2 divisions below their opponents this time last year, halved the deficit shortly before the break. Chris Zabrowski's header putting Wickham back into contention. On 50 minutes, the 2-goal lead was restored by another debutant. Miguel Lira started his career in Spain with Recreativo. After a detour through Milton Keynes, he's now proving popular in southeast London. But Wickham and Zabrowski in particular weren't finished. The former Millwall striker made it 3-2 with 17 minutes left. Some late nail-biting for Charlton, but they held on.
After losing Fabian Delph to Aston Villa, the importance of keeping Jermaine Beckford has never been higher for Leeds. 34 goals last season, and off the mark just 30 minutes into this one. A wonderful finish. The summer hasn't interrupted his eye for goal. Exeter's job became much harder after half-time. Striker Barry Corr sent off for hitting Michael Doyle. A needless red card, leaving his team with a mountain to climb. But after 2 successive promotions, Exeter have their fair share of quality too. Alex Russell's equaliser on 73 minutes, quite brilliant. It was almost enough for a point. That was until Beckford Whohouse scored the winner 2 minutes from time. The only downside for Leeds, the transfer window is still open.
There was no fairy tale return to Milton Keynes for manager Paul Ince. His Dons and Hartlepool effectively cancelling each other out. Jason Punchen's free kick was the closest either side came to a goal. Both seemed happy to settle for a point.
Walsall are fast becoming Brighton's bogey team. Last season they won at Withdean despite playing for an hour with just 9 men. This time they clinched the points thanks to a dreadful misunderstanding at the back. Andy Wing heading past his own keeper. Brighton dominated the second half but just couldn't find an end product. This miss from Nicky Forster summed up their day.
Leyton Orient's 6-1 thrashing of Newcastle in pre-season has raised hopes in the East End, and they looked impressive against Bristol Rovers. JJ Melligan putting the ball past Rovers keeper Fraser Foster, who just happens to be on loan from Newcastle. But a minute before half-time, Rovers were level. Ricky Lambert scored 29 league goals last season. He might get another 29 this year if he's given this much space. O's boss Geraint Williams managed to convince Chelsea to release Jimmy Smith on a permanent basis after he spent last season on loan, and Smith repaid that faith with the winning goal. Orient might be worth keeping an eye on.
Brentford, so consistent on their way to the League Two title last season, had a long but very fruitful journey to Carlisle. The Cumbrians, who narrowly avoided relegation in May, were soon in trouble. Miles Weston heading the Bees in front. But where last season Brentford's opponents might have crumbled, Carlisle came back strongly, and Sam Saunders' raised arms proved costly. Ian Hart made full use of the spot kick. Weston, though, wasn't finished. He spent the past few weeks maintaining he had no regrets over leaving Notts County just before Sven and all that cash arrived. After embarrassing Carlisle's new keeper Lenny Pidgley, it was clear he settled quickly. Pidgley didn't have his best day, though his teammates must surely take the majority of the blame for Brentford's third.
Sam Wood on target as the London club maintain the considerable momentum built up at the end of last season.
It was an early kick-off down at the Priestfield, and Gillingham were quickly out of the blocks against visitors Swindon. They went 1-0 up after a good move was finished off by Mark Bentley, the first goal in the Football League this season. Gillingham, of course, came up via the League Two playoffs, beating Shrewsbury at Wembley with a goal from Simeon Jackson, and he was keen to carry on where he left off to put the Gills 2 up early in the second half. Gillingham coach Mark Stimson says consolidation is the aim this season. He might want to revise that after his injury-hit side effectively wrapped things up on 72 minutes. Adam Miller with the header. And there was more to come. 5 minutes from time it was 4. Jackson with his second of the game, a solo effort of genuine quality from the Canadian international. And there was still time for Gillingham to get a fifth and for Jackson to complete his first hat-trick for the club since his arrival in January. A wonderful start for the Gills, but Swindon boss Danny Wilson might have his work cut out this year.
It's safe to say beginning the season in administration with their talented squad torn apart isn't the best base for Stockport to build on, so picking up a point at Boundary Park wasn't a bad start. The star of the show for new manager Gary Ablett was undoubtedly goalkeeper Owen Fon-Williams, who time and again kept Oldham at bay. All too familiar for the Latics, who last won at home back in February.
Southend and Huddersfield just missed out on the playoffs last season, so both embark on the new campaign with optimism. Huddersfield are among the bookies' favourites, but it was the Shrimpers who were on the score sheet first after they were awarded a penalty when Anthony Grant was held back by Robbie Williams. Lee Barnard duly sent the keeper the wrong way. 1-0 Southend. Into the second half, and the home side went further ahead thanks to a goal from Belgian Frank Moussa. The 20-year-old signed a contract extension in the summer. Southend fans will be glad he did. Town boss Lee Clark rang the changes to get them back into the game, and it certainly had a galvanising effect. They pulled a goal back after 71 minutes through Anthony Pilkington, and the equaliser came 8 minutes later, scored by one substitute, Jordan Rhodes, after he was set up by another, Lee Novak. Rhodes is thought to be a hot prospect, likewise Huddersfield, who survived Michael Collins' late sending off without any scares.
Plenty of Yeovil fans out to greet the new Tranmere boss. John Barnes, always a popular figure, but a bit more popular in Somerset now than he'd like, as his managerial reign at Rovers began with a defeat. Dean Bowditch on his debut got the opening goal, and Tranmere's fate was sealed as Ryan Mason was upended right on the edge of the box. Inside in the ref's opinion, and Gavin Tomlin kept his nerve. A promising start for Yeovil, who hope to avoid last season's struggles. Relegation hit hard at Norwich, down in the third tier of English football for the first time in 50 years. But with 12 new signings and more than 18,000 season ticket holders, Delia Smith could afford a smile. City widely tipped for a swift return to the Championship. Nobody was grinning for long. After just 10 minutes, John Otsemabor welcomed new keeper Michael Theoklitos with a woefully underhit back pass. Kevin Lisby took advantage. If that was a shock for Norwich, nothing could have prepared them for what happened next. Just 3 minutes later, Lisby had Gary Doherty frantically chasing back. An easy step inside, and Clive Platt pounced on the rebound. Some start for Colchester, who 16 months ago were trounced 5-1 in their last trip to Carrow Road. They were taking their revenge in style. On 19 minutes, it was 3-0, Platt's second of the game, and Norwich's nosedive showed no sign of stopping. A powerful free kick from David Fox made it 4, the teams only midway through the first half. All too much for some supporters. One appeared to throw his season ticket at manager Brian Gunn. Being a club legend counts for nothing when your side's being ripped to shreds. To really rub salt in the wound, Lisby, a former Ipswich player who'd also spent time at Norwich on loan, took the half-time score to 5-0.
The match, of course, was dead and buried, and the stands already emptying by the time sub Cody McDonald pulled one back 18 minutes from the end. A mere blip in Colchester's extraordinary afternoon. It took them only 3 minutes to restore the 5-goal gap. David Perkins beating Theoclitus this time. The Australian keeper will certainly never forget his debut, no matter how hard he tries. Completing one of the most surprising scorelines of any opening day, Scott Vernon added the 7th in stoppage time. Norwich hadn't conceded that many since 1992, and that was in the Premier League away at Blackburn. A stunning result for Colchester, who've already got everyone reassessing the promotion race.
I know what the game's like. It's really unpredictable at times. We were excellent. I thought the way we played the game, we looked a threat the whole time.
The fans are disappointed, and we've seen it happen in the past in football, and teams have gone on and been successful from there. So that's the the sort of the fillet for me now is to make sure that we never see a performance like that again, and next time we go on the pitch, we pick a team that's going to win a match and compete with a lot of tough teams in League One.
No, you're just listen, the lads were brilliant. They're the ones that, obviously, I said last season, the most important people at the football club are the players and the fans.
Notts County have been around so long they initially had to devise their own version of the game. They're even credited with inventing the offside trap. Shame they couldn't have explained it to the rest of us. With 12 promotions and 15 relegations, no club has moved between the divisions of the Football League more than them. Did you know that Italian giants Juventus wear their famous black and white striped shirts, having been sent a set of county strips at the start of the last century? 3 sides of Meadow Lane were rebuilt in just 6 weeks in 1992. Oh, look at that. I'm just giving Sven's seat in the director's box a quick clean. We don't want him messing up his fancy Italian suits. There have been bright new beginnings at Meadow Lane before. In 2002, the ground was renamed the Aaron Scargill Stadium for a few weeks until the club's new sponsors went bust. Let's hope that Sven's reign lasts a little longer.
Well, Sven's reign began very brightly at Meadow Lane, where Bradford City were the visitors. County fielded 8 new signings, one of whom, Ben Davis, opened the scoring within 17 minutes of the Swede taking his seat. The vast majority, in a bumper crowd of over 9,000, were on their feet again on 39 minutes as new signing Lee Hughes rounded Simon Eastwood to roll in his first goal for County. Clearly Hughes still has that magic touch in front of goal, if not on the dance floor. His second followed soon after, and it owed much to the quality of fellow debutant Craig Westcar, whose teasing cross was bundled home by the veteran frontman shortly before the break. "3-0 at half-time, County were awarded a penalty when another new boy, Luke Rogers, was upended on 54 minutes. Hughes grabbed the ball and sent Eastwood the wrong way to complete his hat-trick. There was another shout for a penalty in the ensuing celebration. The Magpies' last one on the opening day back in 2000, and this 5-0 drubbing of Bradford City was rounded off by a quality finish from on-loan signing Brendan Maloney, a defender, believe it or not. A dream start for promotion favourites County, whose manager was keen to single out his new midfielders.
I think they're the unsung heroes. Hughes got his goals, but my 2 midfielders and Westcar on the right, I thought were magnificent.
So the Sven era gets underway with a win for County, and don't forget how well he started at Manchester City 2 seasons ago. Well, here's the best bits now from League Two.
A new manager, a new experience for Burton Albion. Paul Pescasolido in charge for the club's first ever Football League game in its 59-year history. A tricky opener too, with Shrewsbury one of the favourites for promotion after missing out in May's playoff final. Jake Robinson's goal 10 minutes into his debut signalled the Shropshire club's intent to make it another successful season. And 4 minutes after the break, Shrewsbury stretched their lead. Dave Hibbert on target for the first time in almost a year. Midway through the second half, Burton were back in with a shout. Substitute Greg Pearson had only been on the pitch 5 minutes when he wrote his name into the club's record books, their first Football League scorer. But still time for Joss Labadie to catch out keeper Shane Redmond, who, like his teammates, had learned a lesson or two.
He's a young lad, we got to keep him positive. We're not going to worry too much about his errors, because we'll all make errors throughout the season. It's part and parcel of football.
I wish them all the best now that we've took the 3 points off them today, and history over the last few years has shown that the teams coming out of the conference make a good fist of it in the League Two, and I'm quite sure that they'll do the same.
Bournemouth produced one of the results of the day at Bury. Last season's top scorer Brett Pittman celebrated signing a new 3-year contract by setting them on their way with his superb 17th minute opener. Bury won 14 home matches last season, more than any other team in League Two, as they just missed out on automatic promotion. But they were always up against it once 37-year-old Steve Fletcher headed home his 93rd league goal for the Cherries 6 minutes from half-time. And the points were sealed 5 minutes after the break when Mark Molesley powered home an angled shot from 25 yards out. Last season, the Cherries began facing a 17-point deficit. This year, they could be one of the division's surprise packages.
Darlington only came out of administration on Friday, but their on-field fortunes show no sign of improving just yet. Only 3 minutes gone when Marvin Morgan gave Aldershot the lead. And on the half-hour, Darlow's plight worsened as keeper David Knight presented Andrew Sandell with an opportunity not to be missed. The shots were rarely threatened, but did survive one big scare. Jeff Smith's effort ruled out for a foul in the build-up. Just 2 minutes into the second half, there was definitely no more hope for the Northern club. Louis Soares defying the tight angle to put the game out of reach. Darlington could at least claim the best goal of the match. Some tidy football allowing David Dowson to provide some small consolation for the 200 ultra-loyal fans who travelled.
Martin Allen's Cheltenham Town had to come from behind to beat Grimsby at Whaddon Road, although the visitors can lay claim to scoring the best team goal of the day. An 8-pass move culminating in Barry Conlon's close-range tap-in. Echoes of Argentina in the last World Cup. Well, if you use your imagination. The Robins levelled 11 minutes after the break, and it came from an unlikely source. Left-back Lee Ridley, of all people, firing home his first goal for the club. His first goal for anybody in nearly 4 years, for that matter. The winner was rather more conventional. 37-year-old Barry Hales has carved out a pretty good career for himself with finishes like this. Cheltenham's League Two campaign off to a great start.
John Nurse did nothing for the well-being of the Crewe defence with a spectacular volley to give Dagenham and Redbridge the lead at Gresty Road. Crewe's equaliser wasn't bad either. Byron Moore helping them to adjust to their first season in the bottom tier for 15 years. But Dagenham were one of the most improved sides in League Two last term, and keeping top scorer Paul Benson has been a huge bonus. He was straight back in the groove with the winner.
An entertaining match at Christie Park saw visitors Hereford draw first blood on 39 minutes. A confident low shot from Mark Pugh breaking the deadlock. But the Shrimps responded well, and just 4 minutes later they were level. Craig Stanley would have enjoyed this one against his former club. And the home side maintained their momentum in the second half. Stuart Drummond giving them the lead with a powerful far post header from Mark Duffy's cross. But in the final minute, Pugh levelled things up with his second of the match. Hereford fans no doubt delighted that he's made last season's loan deal permanent.
Torquay's return to the league after a 2-year absence was marked with an eye-catching opener. Danny Stevens surged into the box and a neat 1-2 with Nicky Rowe teed up Scott Rendell. Off the mark just 15 minutes into his debut on loan from Peterborough. Last season, Rendell's 15 goals for Cambridge United helped them to the Blue Square Premier Playoff final, where they were pipped to promotion by Torquay, who on this evidence can look forward to an enjoyable season. Lee Mansell's header had them firmly in control 19 minutes from time. Not that it was all one-way traffic. Chesterfield's performance was bright and lively in spite of a scoreline. They just didn't
9th-minute lead, courtesy of a powerful header at the back post from Joe Thompson. That woke the home side up, but their equaliser came in controversial circumstances. Nathan Stanton was adjudged to have handled James Lawrie's cross by the referee's assistant. And from the resulting spot kick, Mark Richards, Vale's top scorer last season, made no mistake. The result just about right.
Barnet struggled last season, but started brightly enough this time around at sunny Sincil Bank. On loan, Plymouth midfielder Yannick Balassi brought the best out of Lincoln keeper Robert Birch. Ultimately, though, one goal was enough. Defender Janusz Kovac cursing the woodwork one moment, but thankful for it the next. His second attempt in off the post to break Barnet's resistance just before the hour, and there was no way back for the Londoners.
Rotherham start the new season as one of the favourites for promotion. Perhaps that pressure of expectation helps explain a nervous-looking opening against Accrington Stanley. Keeper Andy Warrington sparing the blushes of his defenders here with a smart save from Stanley's Jimmy Ryan. With time running out, Rotherham launched one last attack. And after some head tennis in the penalty area, Ian Sharps thought he'd broken the deadlock with a stinging volley, only for the woodwork to intervene. The visitors failed to clear and the ball fell to Paul Warne, back with the Millers after leaving them 4 years ago. A cool finish producing an 89th minute winner. After last season's points deduction, Mark Robins' men are already 17 points better off than this time last year.
Northampton have revamped their side since relegation. 5 debutants in the starting lineup against Macclesfield. Dean Beckwith almost drew first blood. It was a match packed with close shaves. Keith Alexander's side just as close to breaking the deadlock through Sean Brisley. And while Northampton was still on the back foot, Colin Daniel managed to clip the woodwork too. They obviously weren't short of confidence. How about this in the second half from Rooney? Not Wayne, but his brother John, trying to make a name for himself. Just as it seemed the game was sure to finish goalless, a golden chance in stoppage time for Steve Guinan, who's had a long and successful career finding the net, but couldn't this time.
The top of League Two, a great start to the season for Notts County. A special mention, of course, to Sven-Göran Eriksson and their manager Ian McParland, and a hat-trick boy Lee Hughes means they're top. Bournemouth, well, what a difference 12 months makes for Eddie Howe, the league's youngest manager, of course. They were going back from 19 points at the start of last season. They're second on the opening day. And for Aldershot, Shrewsbury, Torquay, Cheltenham, Dagenham and Redbridge, Lincoln and Rotherham, winning starts for all those sides. At the bottom of the Football League, well, Bradford, the bookies' favourites to go straight back up, no points for them. And also for Bury, also many people's favourites to go up to League One. At the top of League One, this is how it looks. Colchester, 12 months is a long time for them. They were bottom this time last year. They're top, courtesy of an opening day win. Gillingham, well, they, of course, promoted to the league and a great start to life in League One for them. Special mentions, too, for Brentford, Yeovil, Charlton and Leeds. Two sides, of course, and the bookies' favourites for a return to the Championship. At the bottom, not a great start for Southampton. 1 point perhaps means today they're just -9 and 9 points away from parity. As for Tranmere under their new manager John Barnes, they're still looking for a win. Let's go to the top of the Championship, and Cardiff begin life in their new home with a win today. Well done to them. Well done to Derby too under Nigel Clough, still settling into that hot seat at Pride Park. For their East Midland rivals Leicester, they start with a win too. Only 3 sides beginning the campaign with a victory. That might be an indication as to how tight things might become in the Coca-Cola Championship. Because at the bottom, while Scunthorpe, they're struggling perhaps on the opening day, just finding their feet in the new division. Swansea under new management and Paulo Sousa, and Peterborough's Darren Ferguson, well, of course, plenty of time to get back to winning ways.